Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started here in about 2 minutes, but if you would, in the chat box, just let us know where you're joining us from today, your campus or your school district, even if you want to add what your position is. I'd love to see who all is with us today, and again, we'll get started in about 2 minutes. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me on a Monday morning. Not sure what I was thinking whenever I scheduled this on a Monday morning. I'm thinking I must have been really busy this week, and this was kind of the only day that I could train. So I appreciate you joining me and taking time out of your summer to learn more about how to help your English learners. I see a lot of different people from our surrounding school districts that are joining us. Alicia from Leander. Wow, we have someone all the way down from Leander, Mineral Wells, Decatur, Fort Worth ISD, Watauga, Springtown, Lake Worth, a lot of you guys from around the area. So thank you. I see a lot of familiar names. A lot of people that have joined me before. So I really appreciate you coming back and joining me again. It's been about 2 weeks since I've trained, so I've missed seeing people, and like you missing your students, I miss my students, which are you guys, and so I'm excited to have you here this morning with me. We are going to move quickly. It is only a 1-hour training. So with that, we will move fast, and but this is being recorded and will be uploaded to our Region 11 English Learner Support YouTube channel. So you can go back and you can watch it again, or you can share it with your friends. Today, just make sure that your full name is being displayed, and that's so we can verify attendance. Also, as I mentioned, the session is being recorded. We will use the chat box for communication, and be prepared to use feedback platforms and polls, respond in the chat box, and then we will collaborate in breakout rooms. If you do have a smartphone, I would recommend that you keep that near, because some of the things that we'll go to, it makes it a lot easier if you can just follow it on your phone instead of opening up another browser or another tab, but you can do that as well. Something also to mention is if you want to share your learning today, you can tag me on Twitter. Also, we now have a Facebook page. So that's pretty exciting too, that we are venturing out into social media. Some other things is I wanted to address right now, because I do get a lot of these questions during the session a lot, is credit. So credit is going to be just for 1 hour, because that's what you're attending today. And also, credit is not immediate. It's not like when you come to the service center and you sign in and then those sheets go on to our assistants and they put it in. It's a little more of a process doing it through Zoom. And so I actually have to download a report, send it to the assistant, and then when they get a chance, they can put those in. But because we're delivering hundreds of sessions, sometimes that could take a bit of time. So just know that it could take up to 5 business days before you receive that email from a service center asking you to complete the survey, so you can get credit. So just wanted to note that it is not an immediate credit, but we'll get to it as soon as we can. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get going. Let me check my chat box to make sure there's nothing. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, I don't know how we got there. Just a second. Well, already having a malfunction and we just started. Okay, there we go. So you got a preview of what we're going to be doing. So welcome to Read, Write, Speak for English Learners. This is our bite-sized version. I do a 6-hour face-to-face, but we are going to do this in the hour, and maybe even we'll get through the instructional part in about 45 minutes. You will, some things I want you to think about today as we're doing this. So normally, you may not know what's going to happen for you next year. Are you going to be face-to-face? Are you going to be delivering instruction remotely? And so as you listen today and as you watch kind of how the activities go, I want you to think about, okay, in the classroom and face-to-face, how would I deliver this read, write, speak? But if it's online, think about how I'm delivering this today, although it's, quick, and although we are adults and we're going to move quicker than we would with our children, our students. So just be thinking about those things as we move along. And, I understand the stress and the unknown. It's awful not knowing maybe exactly what's going to happen for us, or, are we going to go back and be shut down again? How's this going to work? So I just want you to be thinking about some of those things as we move through today. Also, this approach can be done pre-K-12. It's just that you're going to have to adapt. Obviously, some of the activities, you're going to have to adapt what we read, how the writing pieces. So you'll have to make those adaptations for your audience. But we're doing it today, as adult learners. So this is me in a nutshell. I am Melanie Yoakum. I am the ESSA team lead, and that's the Every Student Succeeds Act, which means all federal programs. And bilingual, I'm basically the bilingual ESL lead at the Service Center. I've been in the classroom, I've been an ESL specialist, I've worked at the district office, at the district level for 8 years prior to coming to the Service Center. When I first came to the Service Center, I was an instructional content coach, and now I'm in this position, which is a blessing because it is my, I feel like my purpose in life. So I'm excited to be back doing, what I would normally do. I'm noticing, just if you notice some markings on the screen, I guess I do not have the option to not scribble on there. So that is not original from me. Sorry. There's someone that is touching the screen and making those marks. So I just want you to know those marks are not mine. And I'm not sure how to turn it off. Anyway, going back to me, ESL bilingual, I've taught adult ESL. This is my 23rd year in education. Married 22 years to a teacher and a coach. I have 3 children, one that's headed to be a sophomore at Texas A&M, a sophomore in high school, and then I have a 3rd grader. But anyway, so this is just a little bit about me. So our goals for today are to gain tips and strategies for integrating listening, speaking, reading, and writing activities into instruction. And basically that's the ELPS, the English Language Proficiency Standards, addressing the listening, the speaking, the reading, and the writing. And we're going to experience and practice literacy strategies in a remote setting. And then we're going to reflect, analyze, and adjust our new learning for implementation. So here's where I was talking about you really thinking about, what is going to be my instructional setting this year? And again, you may not know. So you have to really be thinking about, how would I do this in the classroom? How would I do this online? Okay. You're going to see me looking off. It's just I have my iPad set up over here that kind of has some notes, reminders for myself. So that's me looking off at that. But we're going to be looking at activities that are good for all students. Okay, so for all of the students that you have, regardless of if they're an English learner or whomever's sitting in your classroom. We're promoting literacy for all, but we're actually developing language proficiency for some. So when we think about all of our students, what I'm going to share with you today is good for all of them. But it's necessary for our English learners because we're developing their language proficiency. And so it is imperative that we provide these opportunities for them to practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Although all students need that practice, particularly if you think about our generation of students who are doing more, their faces in a phone, or in the computer, they are texting. And, when my last classroom assignment was teaching middle school, and my students were, they would write like they were texting. And so it's really, it's almost an epidemic in a way that we have students that are, all students need language proficiency support. But again, our English learners obviously need that support. So today we're promoting literacy for all, but we're developing language proficiency for some. So what makes someone English proficient? We're going to use our first poll. So I have a poll for us to complete, and I want you to answer the question. I'm going to launch it here, and all you have to do is it's going to pop up on your screen, and you just select it. So what makes someone English proficient? Is it the ability to understand and have a conversation in English? Is it the ability to use English vocabulary accurately? Is it the ability to read and write English? Is it the ability to use English in both social and academic? I'm not sure why. I can't see the other part. I don't know if you can, but the last one is meant to say ability to use English in both social and academic settings. I'm not sure what happened there. Or all of the above. So if you'll take a moment and vote, we have about 75% that have voted so far. And then I'm going to launch the results and show you. Okay, we have almost everybody that's voted. All right, just waiting on one more. I'll give it just a few more seconds. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and launch, and if you're that one, I'm sorry. You gotta move on. So here are results. 86% of you said that it's all of the above. The ability to have a conversation, to use vocabulary accurately, to read and write, and to use it in both social, and then that meant to say in academic settings. And about 12% of you said be able to use in both social and academic settings. And I apologize, that was cut off for some reason. So if your district, does, or your charter school, whatever, setting you're in, because we have both charter schools and districts joining us here today, whatever platform that you guys have been using when you did do remote, if you did, some people didn't, some people were doing paper packets. The Zoom polls are great. You can set up multiple ones if you guys were using Zoom. I love to use it because this is a pre-assessment. So for me, this kind of gives me an idea of, my audience, and okay, so most of you do, understand about English proficiency and whatever the topic may be. So I like to use the poll at the beginning to poll my students to see where they at in their understanding, or their their level of understanding. Okay. So what makes someone English proficient? English proficiency is the ability to use the English language for communication and academic work. This is just one definition. If you search this, you're going to find many different opinions on what English proficiency is. And so this was just one. And, I think probably most of us would agree, and you're welcome to use the chat box if you want to say you agree or you disagree with this particular, definition. But it's, we have to think about in the classroom or in the general setting, students need to be able to communicate, but then they also need to be able to complete academic work and move through their academic proficiency. So how do we develop students' English proficiency as teachers? What do we do? What we're going to do now, and I'm going to minimize and put a link into the chat box, but you can use your phone, and in your phone you can use the camera and follow, or if you have a QR reader, and follow the QR code. We're going to go to Answer Garden, and if you're not familiar with Answer Garden, I love using it. It's a great feedback tool. So I'm going to minimize while I'm talking to you. Come on. Sorry about that. So Answer Garden is a great feedback tool that I love to use, and it's quick, and you don't have to sign into anything Google, which often hangs up people, and students or whomever can respond. So we're going to respond to this question. So in the chat box, I've put in the link, or if you want to use the QR code, how do we develop students' English proficiency? What do we do? And you'll notice in Answer Garden, if you haven't used it before, the response that is used the most, like repetitively, it becomes larger and larger and larger. So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to keep this up just for a minute because I want you all to be able to get there, either through the link in the chat box or through the QR code. And then I'm going to minimize and take us to Answer Garden, where we can see the responses and see what most of you feel like, or most of you feel that what we need to do to develop students' English proficiency. So I'm going to just hold on just a little bit longer. So once you get in, go ahead and respond. You don't have to wait on me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go, because if you don't use the, if you don't end up using the QR code, you can use the link in the chat box. All right, so let's see what everyone's responded. Something to note when you're using Answer Garden is that you need to refresh often so you can see new responses. Okay, so here we go. So I see a lot of people have responded to practice. And so you can see how that's larger, but we have vocabulary and context, opportunity to practice, practice experience, increasing vocabulary, model practice, deliberate practice. You can see all the different things that people have responded to on how we develop English proficiency. Something to note is, in order to develop proficiency, we have to be very explicit. We can't just expect our English learners to learn the vocabulary within the context because they don't understand it. You have to explicitly pull out that vocabulary and tell them what it is. Just like grammar, we don't. Yes, you do learn, what's correct by listening to others, but you still have to be very explicit. You have to show the patterns. So just something to note is it has to be explicitly taught. We can't expect that they're going to acquire the vocabulary or the concepts through, the text they're reading or through your lesson. I like that someone mentioned one bite at a time, and I will tell you, I've really enjoyed delivering these 1 hour sessions or the 1 or 2 hour sessions, because naturally our brain only takes in so much information anyway, and then the rest just goes out. Like, we don't hold on to it. That's no different from students. We cannot water hose students with information and expect that they're going to just gain all this knowledge. It really, it needs to happen like our brain automatically does, which is in chunks, where we can sort information and store it. So it really needs to be, and this is for all students, not just English learners, but imagine if this is for everyone, then what that must be like for an English learner. I'm trying to acquire your language. I'm trying to get my social language, where I can just understand to open my book to page 63, but I'm also trying to understand, oh, so that's the water cycle. So we have to be very cognizant of what we're doing. And when we're delivering instruction online, for any student, it really needs to be, cut in half. We cannot, deliver what we would normally do in a classroom. And then for our ELs, you're looking at cutting it in half again, because you really have got to make it attainable and bite size for them. But I see lots of the same comments, even though some of the comments are not getting larger. It's just because the exact wording wasn't used. But you can see a lot of the same things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this, because I want to, I'm going to move this over to the side, because I want to capture this and capture what you feel like is ways that we need to develop students' English proficiency. Okay, thank you for responding. And if you're still responding, please keep doing it. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's the last refresh to see where we're at. Thank you for responding to that question. So how do we develop students' English proficiency? You guys all had, your feedback. Rewrite and speak, and is really, in a gist, all those things that we talked about can be bundled into reading, writing, and speaking. And we have to build proficiency in those areas. When we're talking about TELPAS, we can't expect students to move up a level from beginner, intermediate to advanced high, and then beyond, and eventually reclassify into an English proficient student without allowing them time to practice. And so that's what we're going to do today. We are going to practice read, write, speak. And so, as I already said, we cannot expect them to improve in reading, writing, and speaking if they're not reading, writing, and speaking in the classroom every day. Now, if you're going to be delivering remotely, then it's providing that opportunity in your remote setting. And that may be asynchronous, or it could be synchronous. So just remember, as you make plans for your lessons, whether it be face-to-face or virtual, you need to be cognizant and mindful of, yes, I have to include the TEKS and address those standards, but the ELPS are the language standards. So you need to be finding ways that the listening, speaking, reading, and writing can be incorporated. And it doesn't have to be just for the ELs. All your students can be included in that. And just thinking of how can I, allow some practice for those areas. Also, something to note, you don't have to read a novel. And you don't have to write a huge narrative when we're talking about engaging in reading, writing, and speaking. It can be short little pieces, and you'll see today that that's what we're going to do. So it does not have to be, we're going to read a chapter, or we're going to write a 3-paragraph narrative on what we read. It can be a sticky note, or responding like we did in this answer garden. So how are we going to accomplish this? When we're thinking about planning, and for whether it's face-to-face or whether it's virtual, how are we going to accomplish developing our students' English proficiency? So one approach that I love, and if you've never seen Nancy Motley, she is the author of Read, Write, Speak. She is a Sidelets trainer. I've had the privilege of seeing her when I was still in a school district. I actually brought her in for my teachers, and it was an amazing training. And if I were in my office, I'd have my book, or if we were face to face, I'd be able to show you that book. But it's a great book, and the reason I like it is because it's easy to use. And if you say, you know what, I don't want to buy another book, and I get it. If you just search Talk Read, Talk Write, you will find lots of people that have made s'mores and different things that talk about the approach. So here's what it is in a nutshell. You've got the steps, the time frame, the goal, and the strategies. The first talk is 1 to 2 minutes, so it's quick. You engage with the content, you set a purpose for the reading. Most often you ask a provocative question, or they have to make a choice, or they respond to a visual. Today, I'm going to ask a question. Then we read. The reading, again, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 2 minutes. I mean, this says 10 to 15, but you make the adjustment based on your class period, or the time you have with students online, or just the piece that you're giving them to read. How long do we think it would take them to read it? Or if you are at a grade level where the students are not independent readers, or you work with English learners who are not yet readers, then this was where you could do a read aloud. And that's at any grade level. If I'm a high school teacher, but my newcomer is still not reading in English, then this is where I could take the opportunity to read it aloud. If you were teaching online and you were able to take that student, like in Zoom, in a breakout room and work with them while the other students are working, or in Google Classroom, however it may be, then that would be an option too. But you can see some strategies while they're reading, creating a list of words, significant words, phrases, or ideas, annotating and highlighting. Also, something I like to do with English learners is having them highlight or underline words they don't know. So telling them while you're reading, if you come across words that you are not familiar with, then please underline or highlight those. And then we're going to come back and talk again. So talk number 2 is a little bit longer because we've engaged in our first talk, we've read. Now we're going to come back and we're going to process the text and prepare for writing. And so we're going to have a check-in conversation. There's an activity called Envelope Please. And I'm going to send all these links so you guys can see what these activities are. So after we read, we're going to come together again. And then finally, we're going to write. And again, the writing, the time frame, that is dependent on the task, what you're asking them to do, and the age level. And also the proficiency level of your ELs. Maybe all of your students, maybe their writing will be something more extensive, but maybe your EL, you're asking them to do something a little different. That may mean that their writing is using a thinking map, which is a concept map, and it's labeling. Maybe that's as simple as what it is. So it could be accommodated and scaffolded for your English learner. Okay, so this is Talk Read, Talk Write. You can see there's talk. First we're going to talk, then we're going to read, then we're going to talk, and then we're going to write. Something I do want to tell you, this is just one approach. I will tell you that this approach, you could change it up for what you want to do. Maybe you want to start with the reading part. Maybe you want to start with the writing. Most often when I was in the classroom, I started with the writing. I put up, a question and had them respond in a journal. Then we talked, then we read, then we came back and talked again. So I will tell you, these are all can be moved. It does not have to be done this way, but this is easy to remember. So for you, maybe starting out, maybe you want to start this way because it's easy to remember, but then eventually you can make it your own and do or change it up every time based on what you want to accomplish that day. All right, so we're going to practice now. So here's our first opportunity. We are going to answer this question. What is the best way to teach English learners? Okay, what is the best way to teach English learners? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms. We have about 62 people here today, so I'll put probably about 3 or 4 people into a room. If you've not done breakout rooms yet, you don't have to do anything. What's going to happen is it's going to pop up on your screen. It's going to say you're being sent to breakout number room, whatever. Once you get into the breakout room, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. And those 3 minutes, real quickly, just once everybody gets in, you don't have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. I'll admit, you know, if I don't have to be on camera, I'm not wearing makeup or I haven't fixed my hair. So don't feel like you have to turn on your camera. But once you get in there, I want you each just to introduce yourselves really quick. Hi, my name is Melanie. You know, I teach at this school. This is, I teach 7th grade ELA, whatever it may be. And then real quickly, just go around and just kind of like discuss what's the best way to teach English learners. It is going to be quick, and it's quick because we don't have a whole lot of time. So you would make adjustments, you know, for your students. All right, so I'm going to minimize. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, and so I'm going to go to our breakout rooms. So if you will be, thank you for your patience. I'm going to start putting you guys in. All right, almost there. Sorry, you have to listen to all of my clicking. Almost to the end. We were actually expected to have 100 people here today, so we had about 40-ish that, or less than, a little less than 40 that did not show up this morning. So come on. Okay. All right, so I'm sending you to your rooms. I am going to give you three, what did I say? Four, let's do 4 minutes. We'll do 4 minutes, okay? And it will do a countdown, and then we'll all come back to the main room. And there's nothing you have to do. It'll just automatically do it, okay? And you may see me pop in and out just listening, okay? All right, see you in a bit. Okay, you guys should all be back now. I know that was quick. It was really fast, and oh, sorry. It was really quick and fast, and we just have to make that adjustment for our students whenever to decide, depending on the age and the topic, to adjust it for them. Thank you for willing to go out, and do that. I know when I first started doing the breakout rooms, even participating myself, it was kind of like, oh wait, what am I supposed to say and who's supposed to go first? So thank you for participating in that. What I'd like for you to do really quickly is, I wasn't able to get into all of the rooms, but you are welcome to use the chat box and just kind of comment what were some of the things that you heard. I'll tell you the room that I went into. I had a participant that shared that she had a morning meeting, uses the morning meeting to do this, and also uses sentence stems. And, that was how she approached it. So would love to hear some of the things that you heard from your colleagues in the chat box. Feel free to do that. Okay. All right, so now we're going to read. So we did the talk number one. We went and you had a conversation with a group in a breakout room. Now we're going to read. So we've got the QR code where you can follow this article that I'm going to have you read, but I'm going to put the link in the chat box. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. So I'll stay, obviously on, and just kind of wait and see as people trickle in. What I think I'll do is once I minimize, I want to go back to Classroom Screen and put the timer up there. If you're not familiar with Classroom Screen, that is where I was here. And this is another great tool, whether you're teaching in the classroom or you are teaching online. It is another great platform to use. I use it in all of my trainings, even when I was doing face-to-face. It wasn't around when I was in the classroom, but it's another great tool to use. So I see a lot of comments coming in, flashcards, pictures, realia. So I would encourage you guys that as you are, participating today, to read through some of your colleagues' comments, because you can sit here and listen to me, but I'm just one person, and we learn best by all coming together and learning from each other. So please, look through the chat box, take pictures of the chat box, take pictures of today's training so you can take these things back with you. All right, so I'm going to paste in the article today, or you can use the QR code, okay? So I'm going to project this just a little bit longer so you can see the QR code if you'd prefer to use your phone and go to the article this way. Or you can use the link in the chat box. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to read the article, and then we will come back together and do our next part, okay? Okay, guys, I know that was so quick. And time is up. If you're still reading, please go ahead and finish reading. It's so hard because I'm not in front of you face to face. Um, to be able to kind of monitor. And this is what's hard for you teaching remotely, is to really monitor, are the students, they've done reading. And that's why putting things in like what I did and saying, when you're done reading, type ready in the chat box. You could do something depending on your platform. Are you using, Google? Are you using Zoom? What are you using if you are teaching virtually? But putting something in like this, we're saying, when you're ready, do this. And so that's why I had you typing ready. So thank you. All right. So again, very quick. All right. But as you can see, it was not, I didn't give you a novel to read, just something short. And it doesn't, it doesn't have to, it can be short. It could be a poem. It could be many different things. So now we're going to come back to our talk again. Okay. So we did, remember, it's talk, read, talk, write. So we did our first talk answering that question. We did our read, which you just read, and now we're back to talk. So we had our discussions before, what did you think? Now that you've read the article, we're going to go back and we're going to look at 4 points of view and use our breakout rooms to talk again. Okay, so I want you to take a look at these 4 points of view. And this is really just to extend, well, we're not going to get there yet. I'm going to talk about this, but this is really just to extend the talking. Okay, so that means we're going to talk a little longer. But this is a reminder, and a reminder for your students, depending on the level again, be a strong participant and use phrases like these. Now, we are adults. And so, and these are still pretty basic, but I agree with you because, I disagree with you because, I believe that. Please tell me more about that. You make a good point, but have you considered? So also think about this when you do ask your students to participate in talking activities. They need to be very, very structured. So when I say go, you will have 2 minutes to share with your partner, what you heard or what you read. Okay. And you can even be more specific by saying, I'm going to be floating around the room. And if you're using Zoom, you would say, I'm going to be floating around the breakout rooms and I want to hear you using these stems. Okay. Because we need to practice the language. Now, you would want to also present stems that are scaffolded depending on your level of students, because you guys have a mixture of students. You have a mixture of students and a mixture of levels. So you would want to make sure that you address that. Okay, so here are just some examples. So as you look at this, I want you to take a look. What is the best way to teach English learners? Okay, points of view. You're just going to pick one. Okay, it may be, is it to model? I need to model. Is it B? I need to provide visuals and graphic organizers. Is it C? Teach vocabulary explicitly. Is it D? Cooperative learning. And E, this one allows participants and your students to make up their own, to choose something else. Maybe I don't agree with any of those. Or maybe I say it's all of those. Whatever it may be. If you cannot choose an A, a B, a C, or a D, then you can choose an E. In the classroom, the way that that I would do this in a classroom is 4 corners. So corner A, you're going to go here, corner B, C, D, E's in the middle. But online, we're going to have to be more creative. And here's where, it's hard with the breakout rooms because you've already assigned them particularly, and it's hard to be like, here's breakout room A. And I've even seen some things going back and forth about Zoom trying to make that optional. I've heard some people say that in Google you could set up things where they could go to A, B, C, or D. But for what we're going to do today, because we can't do that, you are going to go back in a breakout room. And typically in 4 corners, all A's would be together, all B's, C's, and D's, and you would have that conversation and then we would share out. But because we're all going to be mixed and you will all have different points of view, once you get back into your Zoom or into your breakout room, you're going to share, what I believe, or I think that what's best for English learners is modeling, and then you'll explain. This one, I'm going to actually give you probably about, wow, we are going really fast. I'm going to give 4 minutes. Okay. So we're going to do this really quickly. I'm finding that these 1-hour sessions need to be longer than what they are. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing real quick, and I'm gonna send you all back to the same breakout rooms, okay? All right, see you in a bit. So you're talking about, what is your point of view? Is it A, B, C, or D? Okay. Okay, guys, we should be all returning back. And this is, I wasn't thinking about it and didn't warn you guys to take a picture before of the option. So that is my fault. I wasn't thinking about that. And this is a good practice run because I'll offer this again in the fall or the spring. And so I appreciate you guys being patient with me today. I wasn't thinking about the need for that. So I did broadcast a message out to everyone, and I hope that you saw that. And I know it's really quick. I will be planning on extending this session when I offer it again into an hour and a half at least, because I can see that it's taking a little bit more time just with breakout rooms and all the technology. So I appreciate your patience this morning. All right, so we're going to resume. And also just know, depending on how, if we don't finish or, on time, that I will make sure that we adjust that credit. Okay, so now we're to the writing part. We've had the opportunity to discuss our views on the best strategies for English learners. We've read an article about it. We talked about it again, and we talked about it, and you notice this talk was a little more structured as far as choosing a point of view, and there's lots of different things that you can do with that, and I will send you links to resources, because had we been in person, there were some other things that I would have probably done with you. But now we're going to write. And since we're not face-to-face, so we're not going to do it that way. Now, if I were delivering this remotely to students, I might use a different platform. ClassKick is a free platform I would encourage you guys to go and look at, where you can set up a class, assign something, and you can see students real time typing in responses. So ClassKick, I'll make sure I include that in the follow-up email. Or you can use Google. You could do many different things. Today we're going to use our chat box. Okay, so we're going to write, and we are going to use these types of phrases to support our sentence. So you don't have to use one of these, but they are here for you if you need them. And that's what I tell students. You don't have to use them unless I really want them to because of the academic language. But I may tell them, we don't have to, but they're here to support you if you need to. There may be other times that I say, I want to see these in your writing. And that's because we are practicing the academic language, and I want to see that they're practicing that. Okay. Oh, go back. That's not what I want to do. So in the chat box, okay, I want you just to respond and think about, we go back to that same question. What is the best way to teach English learners? And we're going all the way back to that very initial question where we talked about it. What's the best way? And so in the chat box, I want you to type your response. What do you think the best way is? You've chatted with your colleagues, you've read an article, and that's just one article and one point of view. You've talked to them again. Tell me, what do you think? So I'm gonna be quiet, and I want you to either use these sentence stems to start you. Of course, some of them are not appropriate because they say I disagree, but you could use things like I think that, I believe, or I wonder, and use your chat box to respond. Okay. After you're done responding, I would encourage you to go back and read what some of your peers are saying. And if you want to take pictures, feel free to do that too. So I'm going to give you a little bit more time, probably about 2 minutes or so to type your response, and then we're going to move on. And again, I would not move this quickly, whether I were delivering it face to face or online. And then I would also adjust the time based on my audience. Lots of great feedback and comments in the chat box. I really would encourage you to go and look and read through some of those because, a lot of mention about the strategies. Here's the thing, too. You're going to read all kinds of things out there about what is best to use with English learners. And if I could give you that silver bullet of this one works, it's just not possible. It is not possible. It depends on your setting. It depends on the grade level. It depends on your population of students. So here's the thing, is not one strategy will particularly work for every kid, even, or even every class period. When I taught middle school, you have many different class periods. And I would tell you today, as I was mentioning, I need to make adjustments. Well, you're period one. So by, class period 2 or 3, which is my next, fall and spring sessions, this will be even ironed out more. But just think about that with strategies. Also I would tell you, don't give up on a strategy because, oh, that didn't work. It didn't work with that kid. It didn't work with that class. Don't give up. Try again, because maybe it will eventually work. But that's the thing, is you really have to try these out and see what works for you as a teacher. Some strategies I'm not comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with singing. That's not one that I would, use. But a lot of people do use music to teach language. So just know you've got to really try them out and see what works, and just know that they won't all work, or particular ones won't work maybe for a student or even a class period, or that group that year. If you're self-contained, maybe you've got to try it out. So, but the good thing is to have it kind of that toolkit of options for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on, but please continue to respond in the chat box because we are all learning from each other. And I love reading, what your thoughts are, and kind of seeing what has maybe worked for you. So please keep responding, even though I'm going to move on. So just kind of debriefing, it is 10:56. We probably, let's say take out any of the hiccups. Let's say it might have taken us about 45 minutes to do this. I used to use this approach, and also I would shift the way I did it. I didn't always start with talk, but just know it can be done in a 45-minute period if you are a secondary teacher and that's what you need, or you are maybe even a teacher who only teaches a couple of contents and you guys rotate. It can be done. Now, I would tell you it takes practice. You have to be very organized and have everything ready, but it can be done. And here's the thing, is in thinking about what we just did, we practiced all of those skills. We practiced listening to others, the speaking part, the reading, and the writing. And although we were not virtually, it's okay if your students are responding and writing virtually. They are still writing. These things can be done even remotely. Again, it may be a little rough at the beginning. Again, you're my first group to do it virtually. So I'm hoping some of those hiccups will be ironed out when I do it again, but it'll be the same way for you. So you may have to really kind of work out some of those things after you do it with your kids, but this can be done. It doesn't mean you have to do this every single day to this extent, but I would encourage you as you start making plans for the fall, whether it be face-to-face or whether it be you are going to have to teach virtually, to really think about how can I incorporate ways to read, write, and speak within my lessons. Okay, so now we're going to take just a really quick poll. And this poll is really to help me as the teacher know how impactful was your learning today. Do you feel like you have left with some things that will be helpful for you? And your feedback is important to me because what I'm going to do is I'll go back and read through your responses so I can kind of make changes to the session or to my presentation, just so I know. So I've launched, or should have launched the poll. Hold on just a second. There we go. So the poll has been launched. If you will respond and let me know now that you've attended, how impactful was your learning today? And again, that's for me. This is data for me to know. I would really appreciate it. Okay, about half of us have voted. I'm going to go ahead and go to the guide, but you'll still be able to see the poll and keep voting. But we are at 11 o'clock, and so I want to go ahead and share a few things with you. As I mentioned, you will get a follow-up email that has all the resources. This is one resource. This is the English Learner Resources, a Google site that I have that has lots of different things on there. It is a living document. If you know of great things, please email me and I will add it to this site. You can share it with whomever you want. There's even, a section for students, so you can certainly share this with your students as well. So this is a great site, that I've been building over the last 3 years at the Service Center. So I would encourage you to share this with your colleagues, but I will send that to you if you don't, aren't able to take a picture of the QR code. Also, as I mentioned earlier, this is our new logo. I'm very excited about it. We've branched out. We now have a lot of social media. So as I mentioned, Facebook, if you search up ESC Region 11 English Learner Support, you will find our Facebook page. I hope that you come and you start following us. Also, Twitter, that is the handle you see there. That is the one that I run for Bilingual ESL, and I also have my own, the Yoakum one, and then YouTube. In YouTube, I've been building that list, a playlist, and it has things such as our session today will be loaded on there, or my past sessions, as well as resources for parents and anything that I can come across. But that too is a little document, and come across things, I'll build that out. Here are some of our sessions, and I'll send you this link as well. We're getting down to the end, so I only there are only a few more things I think being offered, but I'll still send you the link to this so you can see what's out there. I have another colleague in a different area. She's in literacy. Elena Guerrero, you may have attended her bilingual sessions. She and I have been collaborating over the last few months, really since we shut down even more so, to provide more bilingual sessions, and we'll continue to do that. Also, I have a colleague on with us today, Gabriel Veron. He's going to be joining our department, which I'm extremely excited about, having a partner to support you guys more. And so you will also see a new face as far as delivering more bilingual and potentially ESL sessions. So we welcome Gabriel and are excited about the future with having him on board with this too. Also, I love this saying, just all together now. You guys, you can make a difference. We're here to support you. We know it's a struggle, and I cannot imagine being in your shoes at this point, because it's even stressful on this end thinking of how we can support you. But you can make a difference, and remember that meeting your students' effective needs is the most important thing above anything else, and making them feel welcome and supported. But finally, here is my email, the Twitter handles. If you would like to be a part of my Succeeding in a Diverse Classroom s'more that I send out monthly, today I tweeted out and put on Facebook the July issue. If you will email me, I will add you to my group, or you can just look on social media and find that. And then on the other side, you'll see a QR code, and I'll send all of this. But this is just a link to our page on ESC Region 11, and it has it's actually under construction. I'm doing a lot to try to get it reorganized, but it is a combination of compliance and instruction. So if that's your role, that might be something to look into. But finally, just thank you so much for joining me this morning, especially on a Monday morning. And I appreciate you being here and doing what you do for all students, but particularly our English learners. And I hope that you join us again. Be watching our 2021 fall and spring sessions. Will be coming out soon. At this point, my plan is really to continue this route of delivering them virtually and in bite size, and doing them after school. Well, some may happen during the day, but I know it's hard for you guys to get subs. So that I really want to continue this same path, because I have found as a presenter, I think it's much more beneficial. And based on feedback that we've gotten from sessions and my survey that I've sent out to bilingual ESL directors, that's kind of the feedback we're getting. So I think that we'll continue down this same path. And again, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me. And I apologize that I've kept you 4 minutes over, but enjoy the rest of your summer day and the rest of what summer has left for you, and just hang in there and keep your chin up and keep doing what you're doing. And again, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.